nothing's off the table now. Spoilers. Let's talk about it all. First thing I want to get off my chest is they killed Blood Boots.
It was shit.
Considering I'd only seen him for a few episodes, I actually was surprised at how much of a relationship I developed with that character. So when they actually just killed him, I was very sad and very angry.
Blood Boots was just a likable character, like instantly. The way he talked, the way he just looked always jolly, always happy, despite apparently being a mass murdering maniac. He was just a very, very likable character. And when they killed him off, it was like, you could have killed one of the brothers and I would have cared less.
Yeah, I could have killed Bruce.
Yeah. And you know what? And I'm going to say this. The thing which actually annoyed me more than anything about Blood Boot's death, no one seemed to give a fuck. They
well, that's not true.
literally 2 minutes of the show. And then he was only mentioned when they needed to mention him to make someone go absolutely mental to kill someone.
Yeah. Sting, she eventually kills.
She kills the person who killed Blood Boots, and
because she worked.
That was literally, at least I think, anyways, from my recollection, the only time that Blood Boots was mentioned again after he died.
No, we had a good 5 minutes or so with Bruce having issues because this was essentially his first time when a person that he knew was murdered. So he actually did react how a person would react. But then I agree, he did kind of move on from it a bit quick. But there was a lot going on.
The stupid thing was, though, he'd known Blood Boots for about a day. That was it. He knew him for such a short length of time. And yet, Charles, who'd known Blood Boots his entire life, and then, obviously, Mama Son, she basically knew him like a son. And the only reference to her feeling anything was apparently that she was drinking. And then Charles came back, and then it was like, oh yeah, Blood Boots is dead. And Charles was like, oh, okay. And Mama Son didn't seem to care either. The only person who showed any humanity, basically at Blood Boots' death, was the guy that had known him for the least length of time. Yeah, even Zeke didn't really show any emotion at all.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're surrounded by this sort of thing. They are literally in a mafia. So they've probably experienced countless of their friends dying over the course of their life. So they probably deal with it in their own way. They don't show emotion because, as it is hinted at in the show and actually sometimes discussed, showing emotion is actually a negative thing because you give your cards away.
Fair enough, but the way the show frames Blood Boots is that he's basically family. Now, you can see the war with Charles later on in the season when he's been told to kill his brother or to kill his mother, who is family. But Blood Boots is basically family, like an adopted son almost. And there's no emotion at all. So it seems so strange that the show posits that Blood Boots is almost like an uncle to these guys. But then there's so little... After the moment of his death, there's so little, basically, what am I trying to say? Waves of emotion left over. The only person that seems to care is the person who obviously knows nothing of the life.
I'm going to have to disagree a little bit here, but I will preface this by saying it could have been because I was projecting my emotions onto the characters, because I was sad that Blood Boots had been killed. But I did feel like some of because even with Charles, the mafia son, he wasn't speaking his emotions, But I did feel that some of his facial expressions were showing the rage of emotion that was going on underneath from the death. Because when he's telling Bruce, essentially, oh, this is an everyday occurrence, I've lost hundreds of brothers, sort of thing. It's like, yeah, and it looks like you felt every one of those. You've just developed a very good technique for not allowing it to show to the rest of the world, but inside you're still a raging storm.
The one thing I will say is maybe I'm just being pissy because I didn't want him to die.
That's fair. Again, he was such a likable character. I
felt they killed him off like pretty quickly, and he was, out of everyone, I'd argue probably the best character. And he was support cast. I'd argue, I genuinely think you can make an argument that he was the best character. He was definitely the most likable by a country mile.
The only thing I'm saying is season 2, if there is one, needs to have a lot of flashbacks in so that character comes back.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, one problem I did have with his death scene, because he's essentially shot because the boxers have captured Mama Sun and they want her information. However, she's not giving that information. So they also happen to capture Blood Boots and they threaten to shoot him. And I did enjoy the exchange that they had with each other before he was killed. I thought, again, it felt as if she was genuinely regretting not being able to give up this information. So he has to die. However, the bit that annoyed me was the boxers. They went straight to execution. They didn't try torturing him in front of her to see if that would break her. They just went straight to bullet to the head. I'm like, let's start off small and then let's see if we can build upon this. I think the torturing could have had the same effect. To try and get her to open her lips. Especially because, I don't know if it's just the way it's cut, but Bruce essentially saves his mother what feels like 5 minutes after, or not even 5 minutes actually, it feels like 5 seconds after Blood Boots has been shot.
Well, if I remember rightly, doesn't it not cut away from that scene? Like, there's no cut. Bruce just walks in the door with the gaggle of old ladies and basically then walks away with his mother. I mean, in real time, watching the episode, if it doesn't move away from the cut, and I don't think it does, it's like a minute.
Yeah.
Like, Bruce should have been so close that he heard the gunshot.
Mm.
So I don't think you're wrong. I don't think it's the way it's cut, because I seem to think he gets shot, he's on the floor, it like basically looks at him, the camera, and then Bruce basically I think the boxer makes some sort of threat about getting a son or something like that, and then he comes in and then he's like basically crying with the gaggle of ladies, and his mother basically shoos him away. I don't think it cuts to any other part of the story, which means that the passage of time is practically nothing.